Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here, and we're back with a multiplayer team. It's one of those weeks where I'm flying solo, so it's much easier to do a team analysis instead of trying to have a one-person conversation or banter. Raven is a star this week because this is her challenge week, so she gets to be our special specialist with Tantu Totem, Master's Death Cart, and Heart of Darkness. And following our recent approach, we'll be focusing more on the fights while they're running and not try to squeeze in too much theory, except what's relevant to the fight in front of you. And then we'll summarize overall strategy theory at the end. So you can see in this fight, boom, special 2, knocks him out. Oh, he's blocking. He's got some blocking gear, so he barely survives. Rebirth Raven comes in to steal his power. Raven finishes him off. And she's not got enough juice to get one of them, but that's okay, because Raven Prime, she is our star. Pretty uneventful. And that really summarizes the basic strategy of why we've got a double Raven team. We're really taking advantage of Rebirth Raven's passive of stealing power. So, right, no 2 bars. Killer Frost is keeping us from starting quickly with 2 bars of power, but we quickly build it up because we've got Heart of Darkness. Alright, so Static survived. He blocked. And she stopped us again. We had to do a few swats at her. And so this is a perfect demonstration. So even though Raven Special 2 is ranged, it's not unlimited. So it's still too far away to do anything. So last fight, her Special 2 hit, right? Even when the opponent was shoved back with Master's Death Cart. And we tried really hard just now with Rebirth Raven to get the second bar to use it so she's useful on her next tag in. We wanted to just dump all her power before we tag her out. Okay? There we go. Yeah, because Rebirth Raven's passives is steal power only when she has less, so it's important to dump as much power as possible before tagging out. Raven at the end swapped out their passives, and that made the fight a little bit easier. Okay, so there's no gear. I think there's really not going to be any problem with this fight. It's going to be relatively uneventful. It's just going to be just special 2 over and over again. And every once in a while you get fights like this. It's not even always the first fight. It's just maybe a team never had the gears or just forgot to keep the gears on or was playing and shifted the gears around in solo play, and that affected their online team that they left for defense. What do we got? Astro Harness. Oh, and it's Wally West. So Wally West is a pain because he will dodge and he's got Astro Harness. So we're going to wait out with Hawkgirl a little bit. Let him build up some power and plan if he builds up enough power, we're just going to steal it with Rebirth Raven, right? We stole it. Oh, right, we forgot LexCorp. That prevented it, but we still were able to grab some power. So we want to dump her power before we tag her out. And as soon as Wally West tags it, we're just going to bring Raven, which we're going to do now. There we go. So we can wipe out the rest of his teammates. We can focus all our sort of effort on getting rid of Wally West. And yeah, so this is the problem, right? Because he's, you know what? And if her health comes down, if he hits her again and we block and her health comes down, now it becomes a viable strategy to maybe even wait for the health swap. We'll just knock out Green Arrow. So he's gonna smack us again. Does it do enough to... There we go. Okay. And I think that's his last invulnerability. So we can use Hawkgirl to try to finish him off. Oh, he has one more. So we can try to use Hawkgirl to finish him off. Or not. Yeah. Defensive teams are a pain to fight against, but I still don't like playing with them because they're still too slow. And maybe we'll just... Yeah, we got lucky. He doesn't dodge this last one. Eventually, we'll get lucky. I mean, he can't dodge everything. Okay. Nothing special there. Now, they also have a Rebirth Raven, so this is going to be an interesting demonstration watch. All right, so this is perfect, right? So their Rebirth Raven tagged in against us before we'd finished our special 2. And that's it. I mean, what we could do is just let him beat us up a bit. Because Red Sun Green Lantern doesn't do any critical hits, he's a little bit more of a pain to fight. But he's built up power, so we'll just tag him in and we'll steal it. Yeah, there you go. Originally, if he wasn't building up enough power, then it would have just been fine to leave him there, let it health swap, and then that's it. So here's the problem again. This is the Killer Frost team. And it's not really a problem because we've geared Raven to really only require 1 combo to build up to her 2nd bar of power. It's still okay, but she's got Astro Harness, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. So we're just going to kill some time with our Tantu Totem, which gives us our power back. And hopefully we will steal some power with Rebirth Raven. As long as this doesn't hit her invulnerability, which it does not. Oh, that was an accident. There we go. We stole the power after her 2nd invulnerability. It really is just a time waster. She's not particularly dangerous against this team. Nobody really is. Oh, we were trying to tag in Hawkgirl to lock in Killer Frost, but that didn't work. So now we just need to steal his power. We're looking for an opening. There we go. We stole the... Oh, no. We've just got to unlock his shield first, actually, and then we'll steal his power. Oh, and he didn't even bother... Yeah, it's because he survived that. If he hadn't survived that, it would have been worthwhile. Usually, when we do one special to steal his shield, he's quick to do a special, and that we got lucky that time that he wasn't. That was a bit of a misplay. Rebirth Raven to steal the power instead of Hawkgirl would have been good at that moment. But, you know, again, it's a good enough team, it doesn't really matter. So, other teams might have trouble with Luchador Bane. We've got a team with 3 characters that each have multi-hit special 2s. So the key will be that Luchador Bane cannot stun us in the middle of our special 2. And you saw that right there. And since he's so weak, we're just going to sort of power up Hawkgirl with a Nekron Scythe. We're going to knock out Luchador Bane so she gets a revive. Oh, lots of power. You know what? Let's steal it with Rebirth Raven, and then we don't even have to use Hawkgirl's revive. Boom. Okay. That was one ultimate. Relatively uneventful, decently quick. 8 minutes is not awful. We'll do one more run of an ultimate. That was pretty good. So there's something to be said for having, even though they may not be the most powerful characters, for having special 2s that are multi-hit, but they can knock out on more than just the last hit, which you see a lot with some of the newer, really powerful characters like Batman Ninja Batman, that takes away some of their sort of strength, makes them a little bit less powerful. Okay, didn't finish. He didn't have enough power, so it was easier to bring in Hawkgirl to kill a little bit of time instead of Rebirth Raven, because it wouldn't have, her passive wouldn't have done really much when there's so little power to steal. And there we go. Quick, easy fight. Ooh, Astro Harness is always a bit of a pain because our Claw of Horus teammate doesn't generate power fast enough. And that was by design. That's Hawkgirl. Oh, where's his invulnerability? Every once in a while, the game sort of glitches like that and doesn't... Oh, and he blocked. Okay. Yeah, it was strange. So, no immunity. But again, we just had to kill a little bit of time. Oh, and Static has the Astro Harness. Oh, and we forgot. Oops. Static is immune to power drain, but that's the beauty of Rebirth Raven, the way we've geared her, because she's got an Astro Harness. So we make a mistake like that and it doesn't hurt us because we're invulnerable. And he's just blown all his power. He's just blown 3 bars of power. And because we're not going to bother stealing anymore, it doesn't matter that we power down Raven. We're better off not powering her down because we're not going to be stealing from Static. Yeah, Static with Astro Harness is kind of tough on this particular loadout, especially once we've lost our special specialist, which is Raven Prime, the star of our team. But it's still a good enough team to sort of tough it out. Yeah, it's not going to be particularly tough. All right, and we even got lucky a little bit. He didn't get his extra health, I don't think. But Static, there's a few characters that are tough like Static, especially if Static catches you in that infinite loop, attacking a special one. So Flash has a revive. He's got 2 fourth world gears, and he potentially has a second revive if he knocks one of us out. So we're not going to let that happen. And so we'll just start off with their special 2. No reason not to. And yeah, there's enough juice to knock him out. So we want to kill time with Tantu Totem. We do not want to trigger the next immunity because we want to bring in Rebirth Raven to steal his power. So that's why we're not going to charge that much. And boom. And not more, as important as taking the power to do damage, it's taking the power to keep us safe. So it works both as a defensive and offensive strategy. This should bring him down to his last invulnerability. Okay. Hell swap, perfect. Oh, and he screwed himself because we had the hell swap, and this is part of the reason why Unhinged Joker is so bad. His random effect was getting power back. It bought us time to tag in, and even though he has 2 Lexcor gears as we saw with his power drain reversal, Rebirth Raven still gets his power, and it's race to special to see who wins and gets to do the special first. In this case, we won. So Arkham Knight Batgirl on a non-Arkham team is wasted, and especially when she's not getting a tag in. She's just in the first slot. All right, so yeah, Batman Ninja Catwoman with Astro Harness is a real pain. We need to be fast to kill time with her Tantu Totems and not let her use her power or hit us or steal any of it while her passive is active. And we timed that perfectly. We didn't trigger her Astro Harness's next invulnerability. So we stole her power with Rebirth Raven. We killed time because invulnerability is also immune to power steal. And Hawkgirl, we want to lock in Catwoman a little longer while her passive isn't active. If we can keep her from tagging out and triggering again when she tags in, the fight is easier. We can't completely prevent it, right? We just saw that because Nightwing's going to save her once. But when she tags back in, if she didn't have Astro Harness, she would have had almost no health, which meant that if she tagged in during a multi-hit special 2, which all 3 on our team have, she just gets knocked out normally. And we're still 3 strong against her 1, so there was no problem handling her. All right, Arkham Knight Harley Quinn again. Really bad team composition. I love seeing her in first slot because the most important part of her passive, which is being an entry hazard, it's rendered useless. She's not coming in to help. Even if it was a smaller percent, it's still enough to make us reconsider whether we want to do that to start. Okay. Oh, and we lost that race. Clearly Martian Manhunter had 2 Lexcor gears for power drain reversal, but Astro Harness saved us. So we lost that race. We didn't do our special fast enough when we grabbed his power while he reversed. It's an interesting effect, right? Because it's both. That we still grab it, but Lexcor means they get as much. Okay, Red Lantern Hal Jordan has a revive. And normally that's helpful to whoever's got Red Lantern Hal Jordan because it means they can just do more specials. But in the race, we win that one because his Master's Death card keeps him from attacking, and we have more than enough power to knock him out. Not quite enough there, but... And we stole power, just not enough to get the 1 bar. And even if Ares had come in with 2 bars, that would have been enough to stop him from doing anything to us, because you see the skulls, you can't do a special with it. But in this case, it didn't matter. He didn't even have enough to do 1 special against us. So you can see really why this is such a good team, because it renders a lot of specials useless even if they keep their power. Even if we don't steal their power with Rebirth Raven, we have a lot of tools for rendering their specials useless or keeping them from doing specials. So we kill time with Tantu Totem again, try to time it like we did before. We want to have him with some power and not invulnerable. Perfect. We stole it. We almost got 2 bars. And we can burn a bunch of it. Now, because Batman is blocking, Rebirth Raven Special 2 is not doing much damage, but we don't entirely care. We just had to dump the power, and we removed the protection from Batman, so we don't need to waste Raven's health knocking Batman out with our Special 2. Aquaman has power, but he was invulnerable, so we don't tag in Rebirth Raven because she can't steal that power. We tag in Hawkgirl instead to kill some time. We shatter one of his gears. And even though we don't get a second bar of power, we're not entirely worried because we got the skulls. We're going to be knocking him out. And, oh wow, there we go. Health swap 2, even better. And that is how you do 2 ultimates. Not bad. 16.5 minutes. We're averaging just over 8 minutes per ultimate. So let's talk about the team. So what's interesting, even though Raven Prime is a star, I really want to talk about Rebirth Raven. So when you give her Astro Harness and Enchantress, that is she is the perfect counter to almost any situation with power specials. Most of the time, she's either going to be invulnerable when you tag her in the first time. So if somebody happens to have power and keeps it, like with static, then, or they have 2 Lexcore gears to reverse power drain, we're still golden. We either steal it and we can have a race and we win or we lose, and if we lose, we're still invulnerable. Enchantress means that we can neutralize the opponent's power even if we haven't timed it right and somebody's coming in against us with power. And the 3rd gear, Quake Engine, is perfect for her. It boosts specials by 50% against an opponent with no power, and most of the time when she tags in, the opponent has no power because we just stole it. So it's specifically and specially more powerful using it on her. Raven, like we said, has Tantu Totem, Master's Death Card, Heart of Darkness. We're mostly doing Special 2, which is great with Heart of Darkness. And Heart of Darkness would be good enough even if it did nothing else except help us get to a second bar of power with the boosted power generation. Meaning we don't have to come in, do a basic damage combo to get our power up to the second bar. And Raven's Special 2 is ranged so that we can start our Special 2 as soon as we have a second bar. But you also see it's not infinitely ranged like, say, Batgirl, because when we've knocked somebody down and push them really far, a Special 2 isn't enough to reach them right at the maximum distance away. And Hawkgirl, it's sort of interesting. She wasn't very necessary in these fights. She has Claw of Horus, Nekron Scythe, and Overpowered Super. And even though she has Claw and can shatter gears, we're not bothering to increase her power generation because we're saving her for a last resort. And so if the other team has a tank, somebody like Batman Ninja Batman, and he's last man standing, maybe he's tanked so much with his gears that he's invulnerable, then we can bring her in later in the game, later in the fight, to shatter his gears so that we can do some damage. And it costs us a bit. This strategy, you can see in some of the fights when we're facing Astro Harness, it takes a little bit longer, but only one opponent can have that, and it's just faster, I think, to load up Raven with both Tantu Totem and Master's Death Card, the main power generating gears, so that for any team that doesn't have Astro Harness, we're just really motoring right through them. The one thing that we didn't get to see in this particular series of Ultimates that it's worth mentioning, one of the hardest teams that we find fighting against is the Arkham team that has Arkham Knight Batgirl properly geared, where she comes in and saves her teammates. And the beauty of having Raven as your special 2 specialist and doing most of the damage is you come in, you knock out Arkham Knight Batgirl's teammate, and when she tags in to save them, sure, we're stunned, but there's a really good chance that when she comes in and starts hitting us, we trigger a health swap that not only buys us time and reduces Batgirl's health, but it means that the stun is relieved after that. So we're no longer stunned. We can tag in a teammate to steal Batgirl's power, or even if we don't steal it, her health is reduced enough that she's not really concerned. And a lot of times we come out of that. We can trigger Batgirl without any kind of consideration for the consequences, because most of the time she reduces her own health by attacking Raven while Raven is stunned. And then we tag in either one of the teammates, and it's often enough to finish her before she can tag back out to save her other teammate. Easy fight. And that's it. This is why Raven is still so good and so relevant, even so years after she was first introduced, and years after the newer challenge characters had way higher stats. Raven is still relevant. And that's it. So thank you, a big thank you to our patrons on Patreon. That's Korey Ashcraft, who's supporting us at the last word tier, Michael Devries, Irvin Ruiz, Hoshi127, Drew Chapman, who are all supporting us on the credit level, and all the other generous and wonderful people who have supported us at one point during this pandemic. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Komoda.